Hi, Bill. It's so nice to see
Excellent. How are you today?
I was thinking, I'm good, but I was thinking how interesting it is that we talk about astrology, we talk about movies. You and I have similar likes, I think. What we like is very similar. We have similar, and I really love Diane Keaton.
Yeah, it was such a shock when I heard that. It was just such an out of the blue piece of news, and I just had to grapple with the idea that she's just not around anymore.
Yeah, it's so it's so sad in a way, just because she's grown up with us. I mean, she's grown up with me, and she's been such a big part of our lives. I mean, you think about the movies she's been in, and how I always thought she was like this perfect. I thought it was funny that she wasn't a mother until later on in life, because I must have looked it up 100 times, like about like her being a mother, because to me she played a very good mother in the movies.
And she's been a actress, a star for 50 years.
Wait, really? That's I didn't know that.
Yes. Yes, I read it in, a news article.
Well, that's so interesting because what you just said is so fascinating, because that means that she's been a star a whole Chiron period. So she probably has been a star since 1974, 75, right? And then she's been a brave person in the industry, right? Where's Aries in her chart? Yeah, like she's been of service. She's been like, look at that, Aries, the Chiron Aries, right? The Aries Chiron. She started being an actress during a time in her fifth house where she would be a creative person. And she gave us her art for 50, a whole Chiron cycle. I mean, it's just kind of amazing for creativity and her artisticness. And she was of service to us.
Yeah, and I'm looking at that air trine too, which says so much about her. And it's interesting that she has Uranus in the seventh house, which I think has a lot to do with her her views on marriage and her choice not to be married. But for her, from what I've heard her say, it was it was her choice not
Well,
to.
no, actually. So wait, she does. I read it too. Kept on saying that based on her life and what she was willing to do, that marriage never fit. But she was very in love with Al Pacino. Not, yes, Al Pacino, and she wanted to marry Al Pacino, and he didn't want to marry her.
Interesting.
And
Well,
I think that was, I think once that happened, I think she realized that Aquarius moon in her
yes,
in her home, she couldn't do it like everybody else anyway. I mean, she couldn't be like everybody else when it came to love. As you said, the Uranus in that seventh house. I mean,
right.
talk about shocking in some ways, right?
Yes, and yes, yeah. It's
She did it her own way in relationships, which I think that's what you're saying. But it is interesting because I think she did want, I was thinking to go back, she wanted to marry him, but that goes back to her Chiron in the 11th house. She didn't always, in her past life, she didn't always pick the best company. And so in this lifetime, she has to learn to have the right people with her. And that
mhm,
would be her challenge. That would be her wound, is getting the right people with her.
yes.
So what is the Grand Trine you're talking about besides the Uranus? Where are you seeing?
The, so the air trine is Uranus in Gemini, Neptune in Libra, and of course her moon in Aquarius. So that really spells out someone who is just, I don't want to say quirky, that's too obvious. She's just choosing an alternate way to live. It's so much a part of her nature that and she's so comfortable with it. She was self-aware of her self, so much so that she knew that well, she had this idea of herself as, I don't really quite fit in. I'm not a, I'm an actress and a comedian and yeah, all those things, but there's I don't know. She always said, I don't know how I really got to where I am because of my uniqueness, I guess. Although she's got that Capricorn sun that says, boy, am I really gonna go for it? If I set my intention, I am going to pursue it. And that's really is what she did.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's an interesting thing. I think you're getting towards your son. And so I do think she's going to get to a place where I mean, she really did her hard work. And in some ways, that sun in the second house it was her. She was the actress. She was selling herself and she had to like herself. I mean, I just think you go back to, I think we should, what I think so interesting about her is there's something so interesting about Scorpio. So it's almost like it's not so clear on who somebody is. It's not so upfront. And so she was able to play these characters and fit in these roles and become the character and mold. Like there's something so beautiful about what she did and it made us believe her. Like, and there's something about Scorpio where on the ascendant, it's also lying. The lower side is lying, but in some ways acting is lying because become you have to make us believe you're that person. So that's kind of a lie. No, no judgment about that. And yeah, but she would
The
be,
Nep the Neptune is helping with that as well in the 11th house in Libra, right? Because there is this aura of um, mystery or not fully knowing. She definitely had that, film actress thing. Because you didn't see her, uh, on Broadway or on television. She was a film actress. That's what she did. I think that, and I think that is reflected in her Neptune in the 11th. And of course, the glamorous part. I think she could be considered a major Hollywood star in almost an old-fashioned sense, in that, she worked with all the leading men, she had relationships with many of them. So she stayed in her lane.
yeah, well, I mean, okay, so think about her South Node. So think about the interesting part, what you just said. First of all, she was a star. So out in the world, look at the top of her chart, being that like at the end degrees of Leo. She was a star. I mean, Annie Hall, I don't know what was the first movie, but she was a star from very early on, and she did it her way, which I think is so interesting that part of being a star is being your eccentric self. And then Aquarius is on the bottom of her chart. She's naturally different than everybody else. She's naturally, right? She naturally is somebody that is almost a rebel, and she was such a rebel. So it's boy, is she, yeah, I think it's interesting. 11th house does feel very much like the movies because a projection to the groups of people that aren't your friends, right? It's like they're not really,
It's the
you feel
Yeah.
like and almost, I felt like she was my friend. That was her greatest gift.
I always think of the 11th house as the audience, one of the many things, but the audience, right? The group that you're
Yeah.
presenting to. How will you be accepted or perceived? And that Neptune is saying, wow, this is this person has something, what is it? It's charm, it's magic, it's beauty, it's allure, magnetism. All those things are, I think, wrapped up in that Neptune. And that moon in Aquarius is just, and it's strong trine to Neptune. So that's showing somebody who appears to be hard to pin down, hard to categorize, somebody who's
Hard to put in
mm,
a box, right? Think of like, a box. Like, I always think of how important 11th house is about not being your labels. And really, she didn't want to have any labels put on her.
And that's the way she lived too, because of course I'm learning more about her. She had a lot of interest. She was a photographer. She flipped houses. She was really into designing homes and decorating. And she did a lot of, she had her fingers in lots of pies. And these other things were not necessarily tied to her career as an actress. She, flipping houses is not something that would first come to mind for someone who's a major star like that, but she did it because she loved doing it.
Well, and I think what's interesting is what you just said is that I didn't know so much about her. And I think there goes that Scorpio, like our ascendant really matters. And if we're doing our ascendant really well, right? And if you're a really good actress, I'm not supposed to know a lot about you because I'm supposed to keep you in the parts. And so, in a way, we made up stories about her. And yet, I don't know. I think that's something going on with actors and actresses now. We know too much about them. It's ruining
Mhm.
the whole experience of the movies and the cinema. I don't need to know your personal beliefs because you're the art. And if I can't see you in the part, it gets hard. So that Scorpio is really truly a gift in which I go back to that. I always saw her as a mother. Scorpio rules Mars, the traditional ruler, in that ninth house, right? In Cancer at Saturn. She did the hard work of, she projected herself as the mother. So I think that was her best roles. I don't know what you think, but I loved her in Father the Bride.
Mhm. I actually never seen Father of the Bride, but I
Oh,
saw Baby Boom. She
Phil.
was a
Oh,
she was she
Phil.
was a great mom in Baby Boom.
Okay. I mean, tonight, best movie. Okay. Father the Bride, all time. Okay. Best movie ever.
Okay.
You're gonna love it. It's so California. It's so Steve Martin. I mean, do you love Steve Martin? I mean,
Yes.
oh, I love him. And it's brilliant. And I watch it. I just watched it again not so long ago. And it's our quintessential house that you would want, like that white picket fence,
Yes.
mother that just seems to have it all together. And the father is just, oh, oh, you're gonna
Okay, I have to check it out now for sure.
oh, she's so talented. And maybe she played those roles as a mother, and then she said, I mean, at 50 years old, at her Chiron return, she decided to adopt children, which I think is so healing for her. It's such a healing way because um, what better way to have deep bonding relationships in some ways, right? Than to feel safe with somebody, than people you raise with your beliefs, with the way you do it. It's not something she felt safe with. She had a very hard time feeling safe with people.
Yeah, it's the Scorpio.
Well, yeah, and the Chiron in that 11th house and with next to Jupiter in Libra, I think and then that South Node connected to her Venus and to her Mercury, right? So she's a natural communicator, but her own self-worth. I mean, that was a big job for her is to know she was valuable, worthy. I think it's her biggest.
Right. She referred to that in interviews. She talked about being really surprised that she was cast in The Godfather, and she thought that they had made a mistake. And she did a great job, and she always took her work seriously. I mean, that comes across pretty clearly. But I definitely think she had some issues around um I wouldn't say around self-regard, her feelings about herself.
Yeah, that's her biggest, like, so she would have in her past life. Okay, so if you think about her past life, which is the South Node, and then you think of the ruler. So the ruler is Jupiter, right? Sagittarius Jupiter. And so she was a queen in her last life. She was famous. She was well to do. But then somehow and then you move that to the 12th house. She lost everything. Like she just lost everything. And she was so wounded by that because you have Chiron there, right? I mean, it's so interesting. And then it's squaring. So is squaring her Saturn and her Mars. And so something really bad happened to her around her nurturing and about her experience. So she is learning in this lifetime to trust people again, to have faith in herself and to feel safe, but it won't be easy. She's going to have to really work really hard to get to that eighth house. It's not going to be easy. But what's interesting is that she had children. And so go back to the opposite of Chiron in the 11th, fifth house. Children
Hmm.
are really, I will say to you as a mother, it's a very healing thing to have children because they, especially when they're young, they're safe. They don't talk they don't talk back to you. You learn to understand them in a different way. And I think her children were probably her greatest gifts.
Hmm.
I don't know if I haven't really read much about it, but I would guess that they've been a great, I hope that I'm sure that
I've
they
seen
so much to her
I've,
life.
I've seen pictures of them together and they seem all very happy.
Yeah.
So
And
I'm just looking at her Pluto now, and I think that's also interesting in Leo. And Pluto just moved into Aquarius, which is right on her IC in her fourth house, that time of endings.
yeah.
And what else did I see?
So well, Pluto's moving towards her, it was in her third house, right? And going towards her moon, right? Pluto is in the Aquarius. And then,
Oh, right, 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 right. Yes. It's going towards her moon.
yeah, so let's see where the trines are. So, and also, I mean, it goes back to like, but what is interesting is that's Neptune. So Saturn just went back. What's interesting, I think you're thinking of is Saturn just went back to her fourth house into like her. You said it's so interesting. You said fourth house is endings. We've talked about this when we were doing the houses, and I think that's the first time I've ever heard that. So thank you. And Saturn, if I'm right, I'm pretty sure Saturn went back into now it moved right back into her fourth house. Let's see. I'm just going to look really quickly because we're not looking at like a chart. We could, but I will just look to see where Saturn is in my own chart. Oh yeah. So Saturn,
I,
well, yeah. So if you look, we'll see when she died. Saturn went backwards into her fourth house. So you're right,
okay.
right? Saturn is what constricts us. It's what holds us, makes us feel like we're restricted. And so in where she's her body and herself, and it wasn't working anymore, and so she leaves the world. I think it's so interesting. Look, you proved it.
Thanks in a roundabout way. Yeah. But yeah, that Pluto really popped out to me. And of course, it's opposing her moon in Aquarius. Her natal Pluto is opposing her moon.
Well, and it's interesting. Then you go back. That's the chart ruler. She's a very Plutonian person,
Yeah.
right? She transforms. She changes her. I mean, Aquarius moon. Okay, there's a beautiful gift of Aquarius moon. You're able to go into groups. So think about third house, how we communicate, how she talks, but she's able to go into the pictures or into her jobs, into her work, and she's able to almost transform and change. And that's amazing, right? And she's able to go into different experiences and be radically different. I mean, Aquarius is how we're seen, how we're able to go into the groups of people. And we
And
can,
look at that strong trine to Neptune again, going back to Neptune. It's everything you just said. How
yeah,
she's able to be a shapeshifter, right? And present herself in different ways, in a creative way as an actress, and create personas. And she's a mental person, definitely there's a mind at work here with that air trine, yeah, and with Aquarius and Uranus featured as a weaker trine, but it's still there, part of that Grand Air Trine. So that is not,
Well, and she's such a balanced I mean, I like love her, by the way, but you just look at like the elements and she's such a balanced person. Yeah, she has more air, but she is a very balanced person, and that's how she comes across. And what I
and
also
that,
think is interesting is that Scorpio is a hard energy in some ways. I love Scorpio. I think they're transform and they change and they grow and they're uncomfortable. But that seventh house Taurus is the people that are close to her are going to see her, like she's going to have people that like her, that are stable relationships, right? It's people loved her. People thought she was, people
yeah,
they fell in love with her.
yeah. And of course, Scorpio water, Scorpio rising, Aquarius moon, air, Capricorn sun, earth. It's just so balanced there, right? It's
Well, and a sex symbol in some ways. I mean, what's interesting is I think all like Warren Beatty fell in love with her. I think Woody Allen fell in love with her. I
yes.
Scorpio, I love Scorpio energy. I think it's sexy, but she did sexy in her own way. I mean, you go back to that moon, it's not what traditionally was sexy, but she had sex appeal.
She sure did. She was beautiful. She always had that definitely there was sexual charisma there for sure. But it was an attraction. It was a very attractive quality. You know, there was no dangerous edge to it.
Yeah. Yeah, she was safe. She felt like she was your friend. I mean, I think that's
Mhm.
an interesting thing, like Libra energy, right? That's so here. Okay, so Jupiter, which is the right, so Jupiter, which is the ruler of our south node, and in we move it to the 12th house. Her greatest gift would be to be seen like you're her friend. And then think about the 12th house. It's kind of this magical, mystical place that doesn't make so much sense. Like it's the unseen. It doesn't make sense that we could all love her so much, that we could feel so connected to her. And I mean, it is interesting because I just I love it. I just love it so much. It makes me so happy to see her Jupiter. I mean, she's natural. Now here, she had Gemini in the anaretic degree in the North Node
Yeah.
right before it was going to go into Cancer. But I know it goes because it goes backwards. Sorry. So it's not, we keep going Gemini. I just went into Gemini, but now think about something. Was she good at telling people how she felt in deeper relationships? Probably not. It was probably really hard for her to share what she needed with people. And that's interesting, right? So I wonder what was going on when she decided to finally give it to Al Pacino and say, is it Al Pacino? Yeah, I can't be with you anymore. If you're not going to commit to me, then I can't be with you anymore because that was hard for her to tell him. She had
Yeah.
she had to
She
learn to talk to people in a deep way. And I don't know if it was I don't know if she got there, right? I don't know because I'm not in her life, and I hope somehow she did. I hope she found people that she could have a deep, honest, soulful conversation with. That's what I would hope for her. I think she did.
all right. And I think she's not the type of person who could fit easily into any kind of a relationship. It would have to be the right person. I think that's why you you know she knew how she felt about Al Pacino, and she knew that it wasn't what she wanted. So she chose to be single, which is not necessarily a choice everyone would make. Some people might compromise and say, "Okay, I'll marry you under your terms." Or, I'll continue to stick around. I'm definitely, huh?
I'll stay with you and just
Right,
not get what I need. I mean, you go
right.
back to that second house. She has that very second house. She has to have her boundaries. I mean, you think about second house and you think about Capricorn. It would be very important that she set her boundaries
Mhm.
and be very clear on her boundaries with her
Yep.
love. And but that's also self-worth, right? So something happened in that time period where she had self-worth and she says, no more. I know my boundaries and what I'm willing to do. And it's and I'm gonna listen to my boundaries. It was not easy for her because she has Saturn in Cancer opposite that sun. I mean, it's not easy for her to learn to open her heart and to feel safe with somebody. It's it's her great work in this lifetime. And she got it through motherhood, I'm sure, by taking this. There's something about becoming a mother. Bill,
Mhm.
it's there's nothing like it in the whole world because it's unconditional love. And she was supposed to learn unconditional love. And I think she learned that when she had children.
And I read that she had a very strong and close relationship with her mom. Like her mom was her hero and coach and gave her all the great advice that she could ever want. So,
I love that. I love that.
do you know that her mom won a beauty contest in Los Angeles? It was a it was a beauty contest for wives and mothers.
Wait, really? Wait, so did she have siblings?
Yeah, she had a brother, and I think the brother died young from drug addiction.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can verify that.
It's interesting about while you're looking that up.
Yeah, she wrote a memoir about her brother. That's how I remember this. She wrote a memoir about him,
Yeah. So even just think about Capricorn.
brother and sister.
So think about Capricorn going. I think the house rulers are so important. So going into third house, Capricorn, there would be this feeling of constraint. Something would happen where she, right? And then you think about Saturn, like the worst possible thing to happen, right? The worst possible thing, and how much her heart must have really hurt, how heartbroken she must have been. It's,
Her only sibling.
yeah, her own sibling, her own sibling. It's, and well, and you go back, right? So you just think about I mean, it's just Venus, right, is squaring her Neptune. So just it's hard. It's really hard to be human, isn't it? To go through life and to go through these experiences of learning. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. She's what a special human being she really is. I met someone yesterday and they were telling me how they met her. She loved her animals and her dogs, and she
Yes.
was at I guess, a farmer's market, and they went up to her to say, the girl was holding a dog, and they went up to her and said hello to her, and they couldn't wait to say hello to their dog, and it was just like this, like she was a I think we forget about that. We put these stars on these pedestals, and we think that they don't hurt. But they're hurt. They have the same, they go through the same feelings we have. They maybe go through it worse because it's so public, I think.
The last social media post from her was sometime in April, and she posted something about National Pet Day.
So supposedly that's when she started getting sick. I wonder if you would see, I wonder, so Saturn was going through her fourth house. Supposedly in I mean, think about Saturn. It constrains you. It puts like a choking thing on you. It's going through her fourth house, and you said endings. Then it went through Pisces. So that, and I think that's when she got sick. So she was sick since April, they said. No one's seen her since April. Like she stopped walking her dogs, she stopped being out and about. And then Saturn now is reversed, going back into the fourth house. It's really interesting. So it could
Yeah,
just back to your, I wonder if you see, if you went on just, could you possibly show us really quickly just the transits?
sure. Hold on.
The 11th. I think I saw that right before we got on the call.
So should I do it for?
I think October 11th, we'll just say at 8:08 a.m. 'cause
Okay.
she was picked up.
Okay. Got it. October 11th, 8:08 a.m. Here we go. There are the transits. So,
Yeah, so look at that. Saturn went right and the south node. I mean, it's north node. I mean, Saturn was moving towards that north node and it's okay. You said it's in the house of endings. And I have been wondering about this since you told me this, Phil. And it is interesting that it was when when it went back in there. And if you would go to April, like so April of 2025, what was happening with Saturn?
do you want me to create another transit?
Yeah, just so we could just quickly so I could just see where it was in April 2025.
So I'm going to, let's say April 13th.
Sure. Look at that. At the same exact spot that it is when she passed 25. Then remember, it
Uh-huh.
went all the way to Aries, and then it went back. And so when she got sick, look, 25, 25, 59. So that means it's right about to go into 26.
Yep.
26 degrees Saturn. That's really interesting. And if you think it's quincunxed her Jupiter, you could go back to her death chart, but 25 degrees is
Hmm.
quincunxing her Jupiter. So it's
And that transiting Pluto is close to her natal moon.
yeah, oh yeah. So and that's when she started to get sick. Or when she left, right? When she started to leave um public, the public.
Yep.
Jupiter was on going, and okay, I'll also say this, right? And I don't want to predict anything because I don't, oh, this is 25, but then, okay, so I don't want to predict anything because I don't think we can predict anything. But eighth house too is really hard. Eighth house is really hard. And so Jupiter was just going in to her eighth house. And so it was entering her eighth house. And I will say to you, it's her north node too. So as it went over that time, and then now it was in Cancer,
Mhm.
really interesting. Wait, is it, yeah, so I'm
So,
I'm into her. I mean, it's not easy.
so I'm going back into my old hard drive here and thinking about Saturn and endings. And from what I recall, the ending in Saturn regarding Saturn means the ending of matter. So the ending of physical, and that seems to coincide with the fact that Saturn is the last planet that's visible, right? So that kind of coincides with the idea that we can't see anything past Saturn. So of course, Saturn is like the the boundary, the limit. Anything after Saturn is not physical, I guess, because it's like the fact that we can't see Saturn visually. So death still describes the eighth house, but the end of matter is the fourth.
Oh, interesting. Could you do us a favor? Can you go back to the day that she died so we can see that chart? Because
Yes.
I'm thinking that Jupiter is now right on her Saturn, which is interesting, right? And I'll say to you, Jupiter is the gods, it's the heavens, it's it's the greatest thing in the whole world. She did her job. I mean, like, she did her job. It's
Yeah, she had a wonderful life, a wonderful she had a great ride. Let's put it that way.
yeah, look at that. Saturn and Jupiter right on her Saturn. It feels like a very Saturn. But think about her. Okay, my dog's name is Cowboy, so I have to say Cowboy. Okay. She's a Saturn person, right? Venus was in Saturn. her son's in Saturn. She is, I mean, ruled by Saturn. So very Saturn, like her job to get to a very Saturnian place. And so Saturn, so matter, that's really interesting.
Yeah. I'm so curious now to find out the cause of her death.
Yeah, I would be interested with Saturn. Interesting also is that Chiron had gone into her sixth house of her health. So I'm guessing on that other day, okay, go back. She's very Chironic because I'll say to you, her whole career was a Chiron return. Her getting a child, adopting a daughter is Chiron and Jupiter. And so if you think about when she got sick, let's say she did get sick in April, Chiron
Hmm.
was in her sixth house. Then it moved back into her fifth house.
Hmm.
And so but even there, it's making a square to her Mars and her Saturn,
And
opposite
there's,
Jupiter. I mean, she died opposite when Chiron's opposite her Jupiter.
yeah,
And the sun was about to hit her Chiron. I mean, but go back to that she was able to, I'm going to cry because I also have an 11th house Chiron, and it's really hard for me to be like public, right? And
you want to go back to her birthday?
yeah, I mean, just like the sun was going right to her Chiron, and Chiron's our wound that we're born with. The fact that she was able to be a star and be out in the world and be a public person, good for her. I mean, you talk about being brave and not caring what the audience thinks. If you're an actress and you're out there and you're that successful, you cannot care what everyone thinks. And so I'm really proud of her. I'm proud of her for being able to put herself out there.
She also has that minor Grand Trine with the two sextiles, with Jupiter at the apex, Jupiter 11th house, and then the trine between her Leo midheaven and her south node at 29 degrees. So a very, very energized uh, relationship with those planets. Of course, Jupiter in the 11th house and Libra's kind of a beautiful and lucky signal, I would call it.
Oh, it's interesting. It is a signal. And I moved it to the 12th house, but we'll say it's 11th house. And we'll say to you, I once heard if that was her apex, right? If Jupiter's in the second or the 11th house, there's pennies from heaven. And it does feel like she, in a lot of ways, did have a lot of luck, right? A lot of luck. And I think mysterious luck. I do think it's interesting because if you move it to the 12th house, are there people on the other side or people we don't see or somehow magic happening for her? And I do think she had that. And you know, it is interesting though that Chiron was in her sixth house of health, right? Opposite her Jupiter in the 12th house. And we'll say to you, 12th house is also our hidden emotions and the things we don't want to deal with. And so there's something important of balancing the stuff we don't want to see and our health. But she was 79 years old. It's okay. She lived a long life and her kids were grown-ups. She left them grown-ups.
Yeah, I would think, Capricorn suggests a long life in general, but of course, there's other factors. But I would say that here, the sun in Capricorn, I think, could be seen as, she was vital and active until the very end, right? She didn't slowly deteriorate and become very old. She was she was, you know,
Let it,
climbing that mountain in Capricorn style until she physically could not climb anymore.
Yeah, and she didn't let us see her. That was what's so interesting, right? Goes back to Scorpio. She wanted to she wanted us to see her how she wanted us to see her. She didn't go
Mhm.
out of the house when she wasn't well. I mean, that's even interesting, right? We're all left with remembering her in her turtlenecks, with her great outfits, with her signature style. I mean, and also Capricorn, I mean, you said it's so Capricorn. She wore like masculine outfits too. Like she made pants cool, right? She made those hats. Remember she would wear hats. I mean, I don't remember liking what women looking like in hats. I loved what she looked like in a hat. I was like, oh, should I try that?
Yeah, she had the Annie Hall look, with the tie and the collared shirt and the vest. She That was her.
Yes, look at that, Venus. She made it beautiful to be kind of wear masculine energy, right? And she made it sexy and beautiful, and she wore it well. She wore
And,
it.
there wasn't a hint of masculinity about it. She completely owned it.
Yeah, it's it makes me think about Capricorn. It's if you're willing to do the hard work,
Hmm.
if you're willing to do the hard work and put the effort in, and she was willing to do the hard work and put the effort in and to like herself and to believe in herself, we'll
And
believe
so,
we'll believe it too, even if she has to fake it a little bit. Like I keep on thinking of like second house, fake it till you make it, kind of. And in a way, she
right,
kind of had to, because we're all insecure. We're humans.
yeah. And I'm thinking about her roles now. She was quite a diverse actress, but I think everybody especially loved her in comedies, and she was perfect in that. And I'm looking at course at Uranus and Gemini. Just that's comedy marker to me. And the moon in Aquarius, of course, supports that. And then again goes back to the air trine. So all of that seems to indicate a light touch, you know, and a breeziness and you know, and,
But go back to
and
like the Mercury, light touch in Sagittarius. It's
yep,
natural opposite Uranus. It like she was able to
it's laughter. It's just, even when she was being interviewed, there was always laughter. She was always smiling and finding something funny to say. So there was that, definitely that airiness, lightheartedness that it was just,
like the
she
book
was,
club. Did you see that movie?
which one?
I did not see that movie. Like the book club, I think it was called.
No.
That was very funny too, by the way. I mean, Something's Gotta Give, wasn't she in that?
Yes. I think, was she in that? No, she was not in that.
Did the messed up. What was the one with Jack Nicholson? And oh my God, and then he was sleeping with the daughter, or they hadn't slept together yet. Amanda Pete.
I think Diane Keaton was in that one, but I don't remember the name of it.
Oh, that was a great movie. That was a great movie. I like, wait, you have to like, so we just have to sit there and watch Diane Keaton movies for the next.
Right, which I'm sure everybody else is doing as well.
So the book club was great. It was like the older women, and then they're like dating, and it's great. And so she did two movies. It was a great cast too. I mean, it's a great movie, Book Club and then Book Club 2. They're great. They're light, easy movies. You don't have to think when you're watching them.
Right.
You're right. It's so true. I'm trying to think what that.
She did First Wives Club with Bette Midler and Goldie Hawn. That was
That's great.
fun. And
It is Something's Gotta Give. Have you not seen that either?
I did with Jack Nicholson. Was she in that?
Yeah, that's her. That's her. She
I
always,
got her mixed.
and you know what? You remember how we talked about the person who does the most amazing movies and always has like the most amazing houses?
Nancy Meyer?
Yes. I think so many of the Nancy Meyers movies is Diane Keaton's what was in because they always had the most perfect backdrop.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there's a lot of those movies I think she was in.
Yes. That's again, that like films with a light touch.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe talking about things that are really uncomfortable. Like I think we were talking about this last week, right? When we haven't posted that yet, but where we were talking about uncomfortable things, which is interesting because she does have this North Node in eighth house, right? Talking about uncomfortable things and how if we watch it through movies, we get better at talking about uncomfortable things. So she had these heavy conversations about getting older, right? And then making light of it. And I think putting it on the screen did there is something about that with that eighth house. And,
Hmm.
and she was a messenger in a way for these conversations to be had. Like the book club is all about aging and can I find love when I'm older? And the uncomfortableness about sex. They talked about sex. It's a great movie. It's great.
I'll have to add. There was another movie she did in the 70s, which was very dark, very scorpionic. It was called Looking for Mr. Goodbar. It was a very dramatic role for her. She did a great job, but very much not in line with most of the work that she did.
Well, it's interesting okay, so seventh house, Taurus, is also like how we'll make money, like how people that are close to us will see us. And so she has this, I'm safe. And so think about it's one thing that she did very well. She played a safe role. She played the safe person in the parts. You trusted her. And so even that, like to think about seventh house of how important that seventh house is on how we're going to make money. That's our client. And the client being us that watch the movie is
Yeah,
one like liked her in easier going films. Interesting enough, because that's what she ended up doing.
right. And of course, the ruler of Taurus is Venus conjunct the Sun in the second house in Capricorn.
Yeah. And that's also how you make your money is Venus. And
Hmm.
I mean, I love how we could see a chart and look at it and see how we do it the highway. And we don't always do everything the highway. So I'm sure there was things that she hurt and she had issues with. And but she really made us laugh. And I do think there is something about feeling better about ourselves when we laugh and light. She was a messenger of that second house,
Hmm.
Sagittarius, joy. And think about Leo energy, right? Pluto. But on the top of her chart, Leo, she made us laugh. Her stardom allowed us to I guess, take away our pain for a moment.
Yeah, she certainly did.
Yeah. It's it's also interesting with Chiron and Libra of like a part of the learning is about not having codependent relationships. And what's interesting is and we've had this conversation so much about movies. Movies teach us what we want in a relationship. It shows us, right? There's like, oh, I want my life to look more like that. So in a way, she showed us through the film.
Yeah, of course. Of course, I mean, that's why she was so admired. Who wouldn't want to be like her? You know, whether you're a man or a woman, who wouldn't want to be attractive and interesting and smart and funny and warm and unusual?
Yeah, unusual. She even in every movie she played it, she was quirky. She played
Yes.
that quirky moon. And that, by the way, I think when you have an Aquarius moon, and you have to get okay with being quirky. Get over
Oh,
it.
sure.
You need to you have to wear it. And she wore it. And she wasn't going to apologize for it.
She definitely, she definitely was unlike anybody else because when I think of her, in my mind's eye right now, I can see her when she would deliver lines. It was very much in a Diane Keaton way, which was, I might not say everything exactly directly, but I'm getting my point across, and my way of verbalizing things is very, very might not not be very exactly direct or exactly perfect line read from the script. But I'm using all the words. I might be mashing them up and jumbling them a little bit, but I'm delivering them in an excellent way. She definitely did that.
Yeah. It's she did. She really did in her Diane Keaton way. And I
Right.
think I always go back to evolutionary astrology. And if you think about Scorpio, it is the higher way is the healer. And I think she, like the mystic, and in a way, she did. I think movies heal us, takes us away from our everyday life. And she has this sun in Capricorn. And I'll say to you, somebody that you just look up to so much, right? That's above us in some ways. I hate to say that because I don't like to. And then that Aquarius moon is she was a genius with her words, right? In the third house. She was just what you said. She was a genius with her words in her own way. And I will say she probably did not follow the script exactly. That's what made her so great.
Mhm. Yeah, she didn't follow exactly, but she got every point across,
And
which
probably
is
better than the scripted. I mean,
yes.
you see that in movies all the time. Okay, I was thinking about this the other day about movies because you're seeing so many movies made out now, right? And you're seeing a lot of bad movies, but partly it's because they're such bad actors. And back in the day, the people that were actors, there was not so many of them. And so the if you were a good actor, you're going to be a great actor and you're going to get better and better and better at your craft. And she did. I mean, she was great.
Mhm.
I wonder if she was great. She was greatness.
It's so it's just hard to process that Robert Redford would go and then Diane Keaton because they're they're both such what's a better word for top tier, but they're really just so important in our culture, and they've both been around. They both had careers over 50 years, so I'm used to seeing them.
Yeah, we're hurt.
I'm
We're hurt in some ways, right? They're the leaders in the industry.
right.
They both had something very in common. They were both humble stars to me.
Hmm.
That's interesting that you said Robert Redford and her, they were both bigger than life, but also very humble. I mean, the two people that are very humble. And that's hard to say for somebody that's that famous and that's touched us so much that you could still say after all this time
Hmm.
that you see them, right, as humble and real.
Hmm. Not an easy thing to do when you reach that level of fame. It's really, I can only imagine
And
how
I
difficult it would be.
about death, I don't see death as a bad thing. And I think when it's our time, we go. And all as you're getting older and the people are getting older, all of these planets are switching signs, and it's really hard to make these radical changes. And we don't, sometimes we're just not needing to, right? Like we've done our job and we can leave. We could leave and know we've done everything we could in this lifetime.
Right.
So,
So she was blessed. She was a that Jupiter, and
and she blessed us by getting
she
us.
blessed us. Exactly. Perfectly said.
Yeah. So I think,
Yes.
well, I'll say to you, I wish her family, and if we're hurting so much,
Mm.
right, and we
Right.
don't even know her, I'll say to you, um, and I'm sure it puts fear in all of our minds, right? Because it's like our
Hmm.
we know left us.
Yeah.
So
Well, sending all of our love and good thoughts to her and her family.
yeah, and so much gratitude. It's
Yes.
interesting, right? You know what's interesting about today is that today the moon is right on her Saturn and Mars, right? Like it's moving towards it. And I'll say to you, in I actually don't think it's like it's going through her eighth house of death. And I'll say to you, just from my mouth, honestly, too, it's like just thank you so much for opening our hearts. Because every time I watched a movie with her, my heart opened a little more and I loved a little more. So
Well done, Miss
chart
Keaton.
lives on. I always hear that, right? So our chart lives on, and you could be dead 20 years, 30 years, and all of a sudden, like, why are we called to think about that person? So she will live on with us for a very long time. For her movies are can span, I think, for a very long time and still be meaningful. So I will see you soon, Bill.
Very soon. Thank you, Courtney.